Brian Jones, the enigmatic founder and original leader of the Rolling Stones, was a true musical genius whose talent was only matched by his troubled personal life. Jones was a pioneer of the British rock scene, revolutionizing the sound of the blues and infusing it with a raw energy that would define an era. But despite his incredible success and talent, Jones struggled with addiction and profound sense of loneliness, ultimately leading to his untimely and tragic death at the young age of 27. Louis Brian Hopkins Jones was born on February 28, 1942, in Gloucestershire, England, to a middle-class family. His mother, Louisa, was a piano teacher, while his father, Louis Blount Jones, was an aeronautical engineer with a passion for music. Brian had two sisters and grew up in a household that was constantly filled with music. His parents' love for music rubbed off on him, and he was introduced to various genres of music at a young age. As a teenager, Brian stumbled upon Cannonball Adderley's music and became fascinated with jazz saxophone. He began to teach himself how to play the instrument, and it wasn't long before he became quite proficient. Brian's parents were supportive of his musical endeavors and gifted him an acoustic guitar. He grew up attending local schools in Gloucestershire, including Dean Close School and Cheltenham Grammar School for Boys. Despite being an intelligent boy who performed well academically, he didn't enjoy the strictness of school life and often found himself in trouble with the authorities. In fact, he was even suspended from school on 2 occasions. He made some poor decisions that would have long-term consequences. He fathered illegitimate children, which caused him trouble in his personal life. Despite his high IQ, he wasn't interested in pursuing academic studies and instead devoted himself to playing jazz and blues music. In the early 1960s, he was sitting in an Alexis Corner gig when Keith Richards and Mick Jagger spotted him. They were impressed with his Elmore James-styled guitar playing and struck up a friendship with him. After moving to London, Jones teamed up with Richards and Jagger to perform a band that would become known as the Rolling Stones. They played their first shows in 1962, and at that point, Jones was the band's leader and most important musical force, given his greater age and experience. As they continued to play and record music, the Stones settled into a 5-man lineup that would carry them through most of the 1960s. During the first year or so of their recording career, Jones continued to be the leader of the group if anyone was. Although Keith Richards was the band's lead guitarist, Jones played a unique role as the second guitarist whose chords and riffs were counterpoints as much as support. His style helped to define the band's early sound, and his contributions to their music cannot be overstated. Brian Jones was not only a talented guitarist, but also a skilled harmonica player and slide guitarist. In the early days of the Rolling Stones, he was also a backup vocalist, though he rarely served in that capacity after the mid-1960s. Moreover, being the most photogenic member of the group, Jones was essential to their image and success. He considered himself the leader of the band, even going as far as arranging to be paid £5 more per week than the other members in 1963. This move didn't go over well with the rest of the group. However, in the mid-1960s, Jagger and Richards established themselves as the band's primary songwriters, causing Jones's influence within the band to decline. While he may have contributed to several early Rolling Stones originals credited to the group's pseudonym of Nanker Felge, he never had a song that he wrote or co-wrote recorded by the band under his name. Brian Jones was known for his womanizing and heavy drug use, which contributed to the Rolling Stones' bad boy persona. However, his health began to suffer, causing him to miss performances and recording sessions due to erratic behavior. Despite these issues, Jones was an important member of the band for his ability to learn multiple instruments and add creative touches to their recordings. Jones also pursued some solo projects during his time with the Stones. One of these projects was the composition of the soundtrack for the 1967 film A Degree of Murder, which starred his girlfriend Anita Pallenberg. For the soundtrack, Jones played a variety of instruments including sitar, organ, dulcimer, autoharp, and harmonica. Additionally, he recorded traditional Moroccan musicians at the Rites of Pan Festival in Morocco in 1968. Some of these recordings were released in 1971 as Brian Jones presents the Pipes of Pan at Jaujoka. Brian Jones, the musician and founding member of the Rolling Stones, had a strong interest in Moroccan music. This interest influenced the band's album, Their Satanic Majesty's Request, which featured African-style percussion and flutes. Jones was among the first rock musicians to introduce this type of music to Europe and North America, although it would take until the 1980s and 1990s for it to gain widespread popularity. However, in the late 1960s, Jones began to feel increasingly isolated from the rest of the band due to various personal and physical issues. A hand injury in 1966 had an impact on his guitar playing, and although he avoided jail time for drug charges, his criminal record made it difficult for him to tour the United States. However, his life took a turn for the worse in the late 60s as he began to struggle with personal and physical issues that affected his ability to perform. Jones lost his girlfriend, actress Anita Pallenberg, to bandmate Keith Richards, which was a significant blow to his already fragile state. His erratic behavior and substance abuse made it difficult for him to contribute to the band's work, and he missed several recording sessions and performances due to ill health. Despite these challenges, Jones played on some of the tracks on the Rolling Stones' 1968 album, Beggar's Banquet, including possibly the slide guitar on No Expectations. He also contributed to some of the songs on Let It Bleed, but before the album was completed, he left the band. Although it was initially announced that Jones had left for musical reasons, there have been speculations that he was actually fired by the other band members. Jones had expressed interest in forming a band of his own, but sadly, on July 3, 1969, he drowned in his swimming pool. Brian Jones may have had a troubled life and career, but his contributions to the Rolling Stones and his influence on music as a whole cannot be denied. Goodbye and rest in peace, Brian Jones.